Now we are touching code of safe working practices after quite some time, and right now most of you are solving the same questions because some of you are finished it, some of you are almost towards the end. So this is going to be something like a mini revision. However, we will start first because now today's topic is work at height, that is chapter 17. But we'll start first with a YouTube video. Now this video, people who have made this video is some Filipino crew, and they are very good seamen. Okay. Now everything is not to be picked up from the video, but this is basically to get idea how like a bow area gets painted, and because the stages will hang around, so stages have to be pulled closer, plus long rollers have to be used, and so on. It's about 10 minutes. We will start with that just to get you idea what sort of a job it is. Everything is not perfect in a video. Means okay, our purpose is not to find faults in that video, but our purpose is just to understand what is the job like. So some idea so that when we start reading, things become easier. It is easier to imagine it or visualize it. Okay, so we'll start here first. Now this one, the language they're talking is Tagalog, their national language.
Hi, have you always wanted to learn to code but don't?
It is basically a smaller ship. Now this is the permit to work. Risk assessment has to be done. That's the standard stuff. Now we are reaching the end of the ship, the bow part, where they have already rigged staging. First thing, of course, anybody going overside or anywhere going to hang around has to use the safety harness. So that is the first thing. Now this ladder, what you see, it has got the sort of round steps. It's a rope ladder. It is called pulley ladder because once upon a time this was used for pulleys laborers. They were referred as pulleys by British. So pulley ladder, or it is also called monkey ladder, depending on what nationality and what type of vocabulary you are using. This is at anchor, as you can see. Now these stages have got some extra ropes which are pulling them closer to ship side. Now see, this ladder is difficult ladder to use. It starts swinging. That's why you see his feet. He turned around, he got it. Now these guys are very good in climbing with ropes also. So we are not looking at their experience or expertise, but just get the general idea. Now this ship, obviously they want to do this maintenance to give better look, aesthetic look. Okay, otherwise you have to chip paint and all. Here they're just painting over the rust, but that has got certain purpose. Maybe they are changing the ship's name, which I'm not sure yet, but it is possible. The charter has changed and the temporary ship's name will be changed. Now these long rollers are difficult to handle. You will realize how long they are. And then maintaining that accuracy while holding on to the rope. The stage is also swinging a little bit. Now you see this front guy, not this one, the other guy. his back. You see, he's just touching up because just for aesthetic look. Now this symbol is, there is a bow thruster there. That is the symbol. There is bow thruster.
11:21.
See, this lifeline is little loose, but not too loose. If it is too loose, there will be problem. Now this guy has finished his job. He is climbing up. Now he will have to swing around from this side, otherwise he will not be able to. Now this is difficult job. Means when you join as a cadet, I don't think anybody is going to allow you to climb up on these types of ladders. We avoid using these ladders. But if you are expert seaman, it's not a big issue.
Wala na, sagad na dito.
Finish the starboard side painting. Okay. Now, the guys will be going on.
Ano, ba?
Now you see amount of people you see. There are only 2 on stage, but there are at least 2 more on top. And the small thing is that blue thing, you know, here where that man is standing right now, that is jack staff. Okay. The small pillar you see, that is where the flags are put. Jack staff. One of the rare things, you generally don't see jack staff on modern ships. Okay, so this guy is going on other side staging. And here you will
Tropa, ano yung line ah? Tuyo.
Okay, the rope
Yun na yun,
will be clear,
ilagdag lang ba?
nobody will be falling on the
Babit!
because it is fixed with the rope. Very interesting how somebody has managed to do the shooting. Now see, okay, the condition is bad. In the paint condition, there is corrosion and everything. What they are doing is they are touching up on top of it. He's painting on top of brush, so the ship starts looking good. And that aesthetic look is required many times.
Yung murang line ba dito ba? Kaya nga eh. Bakit mabingi yung bindula?
See, they have to be careful when they bring down the tools. Now, there is a paint bucket there.
Puro tama lang.
Now see, he's touching up with long roller. It's quite skill job, huh? It's not all that easy. Because you are holding on to one end of the things and other end you have got brush.
Oo, kita ko na.
Stage is moving little bit, you have to keep brush in contact with the metal surface. Then you have to maintain accuracy, some reasonable accuracy. Now see, he's putting the white paint on those embossed signs. Now this embossed sign is the bulbous bow. Then you saw him painting now the draft marks. They're dealing with 2 different types of paint, grey color and white color. Draft marks are embossed. The propeller symbol means that is the bow thruster symbol. That is sort of welded there. Bulbous bow is also embossed.
Yay, matatapos na.
See, from a
Tapos tayo ng
distance,
isang
it
araw.
has to look nice. See the accuracy he has to maintain. The paint drum is going up. They have finished the job this side. Now you have to be careful when you are handling paint drum from top. It should not drop on these people down.
Teka.
this yellow rope which is there, no, that is passed around the stage to pull it closer to ship side. Otherwise, your stage will be hanging quite a distance. By pulling it closer, they had to still use the long handles. This is not actually long; it's a super long. The stage is picked up. Squaring up started. See the ladder rolled coil so that it can be put in same place. It's gone. See the rope which is getting coiled now. Because that is how we work. The housekeeping must be done. After the job is over, all regular cleaning, everything must be done. And everything back to ship.
So guys, tapos na naman kami ng isang trabaho. Medyo nakakapagod.
See the tool, how they are kept. Okay. So, we are finished with this one. Okay. Now, there are some of the doubts which I will answer first. Okay. One is saying that the corrosion will start again. Okay, I'm not going to give answer about sharks and all. Okay. Shark leaps out as if shark has got no other business. Okay, leave it. Then, host only. So now you can't talk to each other. Okay. One question is, like corrosion will start again and the rest is not clean. It is right. The corrosion will start again. But this is like a temporary makeup, like कोई घर आने वाला मेहमान है, so we clean up like, कचरा बिचरा पीछे में डाल के we do. So it is something like this. Sometimes for commercial reasons, you want to show the ship is looking good and all. That is the reason. Otherwise, this is not a correct procedure. Correct procedure is get rid of corrosion, then paint. Then, sushi, I don't think you all have eaten sushi. Okay. Sushi is a raw fish. I have done this type of stuff. As a cadet, of course, I didn't get that much of opportunity to do so much of it, because most of the times what happens is the job is done in dry dock. In dry docks, you do very good job on ship side, so that you don't have to do anything at the once you sail out from dry docks, and then you wait for next dry dock, and in between little touch up. Now you don't remove corrosions in the mid sea or something. This is because ship was at anchor, they have done this job. Normally anchoring is the only time you may get some chance, or because ports generally will not allow you to do any painting. So anchorage is possibility. So this is where these guys did the work at anchorage. But at sea, we don't send anybody overside. When ship is moving, we don't send anybody overside. Even at anchorage, we first check is it safe or no. Then only we send somebody overside. It is like extreme case. It is not for like pleasure you send somebody overside. These are all extreme cases. Here they had opportunity and probably they had to get it painted so that ship looks good. A new charter or something, because a new name was painted there. So that must be the reason. Okay. Now we start. Okay. I'll start. Working at height. wherever there is a risk of falling, wherever there is a risk of falling, that means you are working at height. Simple. That height can be 1 meter, 2 meters, 10 meters, it's all relative terms. But if there is a risk of falling, that means you are working at height. Because it happens sometimes you are standing only about 1.5 meters and trying to do some work and you slip and you can fall down. Now, this is the definition. Now, where does it apply is not necessarily only that mast or something or a ship side or overside. No, it can be inside the tank also. It can be inside the hold. It can be even on staircase. The thing is, it may be sort of enclosed space. It may be open space. But there is a risk of falling. Then only it is working at height. Now, as usual with all our jobs, first risk assessment. Then, once you know what risk is involved, the measures should be taken to protect people who are at risk, who are put to risk. So, depending on the severity of the risk, permit may be required. Because sometimes you may be saying, I am just standing on a stool and working. If you're standing on a stool and working and somebody is holding to your stool and stool is stable, you are not going to get a work permit for it. Because you were just climbed up there just to change a bulb. Fine. So this is how you look at it. Based on severity of the risk, you may need the permit. Now, these things are clear now. There is a risk of falling. So there is a risk assessment done, what all can go wrong and what is the risk involved. Then safety measures have to be taken. And based on that, we do the job. If it is the severity is higher, then we ask for permit to work. Means the senior experienced people will visit the spot. They will do risk assessment themselves. They will work out all the plan and they will present it to get captain's order, that is permit to work. Now, the important one what I had mentioned earlier, work should be carried out at height if there is no reasonably practical alternative to doing so. Because at sea, ships are moving, rolling, pitching. So, this work at height should be carried out only if you have no other alternative to do it. Means there is no choice. Then only we decide to do work. If there is other alternative, we keep the work pending. And we can do it in the port when things are much safer. Now, the company must ensure, that means captain must ensure that such work is properly planned. Planning is one part. Supervising is another thing. And carried out is actually little bit different than supervising. Supervising means one officer is supervising the work and it is carried out by crew members in a safe manner. Means you are not to take any risk. There is nothing like अरे कैसा भी करके जल्दी खत्म करेगा. No, we do properly. Now, during planning, we consider many things. You may be at height, but still something can fall on your head. It's possible because you are not at topmost height. You are somewhere in the middle. Something can fall down. Okay, leave that. There is a possibility that you are carrying some tools and it slips out of your hand, falls down and falls down on a person's head. So you hurt somebody else who was down. So we take a lot of precautions. And we also plan for emergency situation. That means, okay, guy has got lifeline, everything, okay. Now suppose he slips off and he's hanging on lifeline. How do I save him? So that time I can't start running around and looking for a solution. My solution should be ready. In case this goes wrong, this is my solution. If this goes wrong, this is my solution. So emergency is also planned, that how to get out of that emergency situation. Now, who will be working at height? First thing will be only competent person who understand what is the risk involved, who have got experience, knowledge. Now it is like this. We have got people at sea, like even crew members are there, like messman is there. The messman doesn't work at height. One who works at height normally will be AB or a GP rating 1 or motorman or somebody like that. So they should be competent. Next thing is they should know that work. There is no point in telling somebody, yeah, he's experienced, he can go up, but he doesn't have other skills. So you need a skilled person who can work at height. It is not somebody who can work at height. We need both the skills, because a specific activity might be there. Like say something like there is a switch, electric switch. So what is the point in AB climbing up there? AB climbs up, but he doesn't know what to do with switch. So that means it should be ETO who will be going there. AB will be assisting him. Now, first thing is that training, that is what you learn here in institute, and then with experience, because you get very little experience, but with some experience you learn how to work on heights. Now, when the person who is working there must be supervised, who is competent to supervise. That means it is not that one third mate comes and he stands up there, I am officer, so I am going to supervise. No, he should have idea what it is. So normally what happens is, even a bosun might be more superior person to supervise the job than a brand new third mate. It's possible, because I told you the combinations are required. What is a competent person? Now, persons less than 18 years of age. Okay, now why this term is used, less than 18 years of age? Because in many nationalities, people join sea life as a crew member when they are below 18. It happens all over the world. In India, we don't allow them to join below 18, and only cadets join below 18. It is possible. Cadet can be below 18, but then there are special conditions which are used. So, person under 18 or less than 12 months experience at sea means guy hasn't spent enough time at sea, should not work aloft. Aloft means at height, unless it is part of the planned training. Like in your case, when you are on board, of course you will be over 18, but you will be with less than 12 months sea service experience. But working aloft is also part of your, it's a planning. Okay. You raised hand, na? Who was that? Nikhil, I think. Put on chat. Okay, no problem. Okay. So, if it is part of training, then you don't work alone there. You will have a competent person along with you, means on a stage. You will be there and maybe one AB is there. So, you are learning the ropes. You will see how it's to be done. He will help you out, how to do the job and so on. And or you will have a experienced person, competent person who will be supervising to ensure that you do not come to any harm. Now what happens is, when we start working at height, you have to select your tools carefully, because you can't have too many heavy tools. You sit on a stage, you want light tools, and it should be a proper tool. So you work out what is the best tools, and that whether you need that tool or no, because it has to be fit for the purpose. Whatever work you are doing there, it has a purpose. So the tool should be the right tool. You can't be just going there, no. You take proper tools. Then, as usual, moment we talk about the tool, you must follow all safety procedures and good practices. Means, as manufacturers have told you how to use the tool. Now, what happens next? Somebody who is working at a height, he is going to concentrate on a work. At the same time, he has to watch out that he is not going to fall down somewhere. So, the concentration is limited. The focusing remains limited. Guy has to do both the things. So, that means there is added responsibility for a supervisor to ensure that personal safety is not compromised. Major problem is guys are working on a stage like what we saw there, but they were at anchor and they were not rolling pitching. But suppose there is a rolling pitching, the movement of a ship in a seaway, or poor weather conditions. Poor weather conditions can make ship move around a lot, or there can be rain, there can be a couple of other things. Now, interestingly, remember, even though normally we say when ship is at sea, she will be rolling and pitching, but believe me, you can be rolling and pitching even in port alongside. It is possible. So whenever we are working, we use proper equipment or whatever it may be. Okay, a stage, ladder, scaffolding, bosun chair, scaffold tower. Scaffold tower is that staging, you see pipe-like staging, no? You see it ashore basically. So that sort of a staging, whatever it is. We have to be careful with it because there are hazards involved. If there is a movement, anything can fall down. Person who is sitting there to do work may be swinging as if he is on Jula. So it is difficult. That is the reason that their safety is supervisor's concern. That he has to ensure that they are not going to come to any harm. Now, anybody who is going to work aloft or stage anywhere or at any height must have a lifeline. Now, lifeline is old-fashioned one where one rope was tied up to you. Either you use harness, safety belt, whatever it was, and it was kept little loose like we saw in that video. That one is old-fashioned one, but if somebody has to attend to it, that means it should be sufficiently loose so that it doesn't hamper your working. At the same time, it should not be so loose that you will actually fall and that will not help you. So that is one type. Another one is arresting device. Arresting device is more modern stuff. You attach it, it maintains its tension so that you can work without any problem. But in case there is a sudden jerk, it will not allow you to fall. Means the sudden jerk, there will be break, like our car safety belts. Normally you can keep on moving it, but if they give sudden jerk, you will realize it doesn't allow you to move. Same way. Then another thing to protect person is what? Safety net. These things you see these days in construction sites because everybody has become stricter. So if laborers are working, you will find there is a safety net rigged around. So in case somebody falls, he is expected to fall in the net. Now on the ships, generally we don't have these types of jobs, so you don't see it so much of safety net stuff, but it is available. Additionally, when you are working overside, that means if you fall, you are going to fall in water. Working life jacket. Now, life jacket is not the correct word. A working vest also is okay because moment you say life jacket, our mind goes to one life jacket, that is what we use for life-saving appliances. Here it's a little different one. It is a thinner one, so it allows you to work better. And this is one, like you have got a proper one which you wear. Other ones, there are different types of flotation devices. So those ones also come under that. So you must use it. so that no matter what happens, even though you got lifeline, everything is there, still something goes wrong and you fall in water. In that case, you should be safe. Then a life buoy is always kept. If you are overside, there is a life buoy with a line. See, on ships, you have got life buoys. One is with light, one is with smoke float combination, that is on bridge wings. Then you have got life buoys with a heaving line attached. So that is what we are looking at it, the life buoy with sufficient line. This one should be kept ready there. It means it is there. It is like one of those things you will say, "Arey yaar, kya khich hai? Ye leke aana padta hai, use nahi, we are putting it back." Fine. These are all things for emergencies. Okay, we keep it ready. In case something goes wrong, you have solution at hand. You are not going to search for life buoy. You have got it there, just throw it. The guy catches it, then because one end is in your hand, no, one end of the rope, the line. Then you pull him close, lower ladder, he will come up. If he can't come up, then somebody goes down and we use different method to pick him up. And at all times, when somebody is working aloft or overside, there should be another person or two persons who are watching these people when they are working throughout. You never leave a person on a stage unattended. That means there has to be a person on deck or attending to them. Means he is always keeping them in sight. Why? In case anything goes wrong, he has to take the corrective action to protect the person. This is something which lot of people, if they don't understand, they criticize it. अरे क्या एक आदमी काम करता है, तीन आदमी देख रहा है. That sort of a stuff. But that is what you must do if you are working aloft, working overside. Now, other than emergency situation, okay, personnel should not work overside if ship is underway. Underway, you know, from ROR, not at anchor, not tied alongside. So nobody should be going overside. Now, assuming there is an emergency and somebody has to go, the first choice will be experienced person with all the precautions taken. But at the same time, lifeboat or rescue boat. Now both the things can be on ship. Some ships you have got only lifeboats, because even though rescue boat is compulsory, one of the lifeboats or both the lifeboats can be rated as rescue boats by increasing some of the qualifications of the boat construction. So certain things are increased, so they become rescue boats. So they are allowed to use same boat for both the purpose. Some ships you have got lifeboat separate, rescue boat is separate. Some ships have got it. In that case, they must be ready for immediate use. When we talk about immediate use, means the crew should be available immediately. You cannot be saying the boat is ready but there are no people. No. It has to be completely ready if required to launch instantly. That means you have got a lot of people watching the job and it is only one or two persons are working. Maybe one or two are supporting them from top, and there will be a crowd of about 5, 6, 7 persons there, supervising them, monitoring them, and of course, if anything is emergency nature work and all, then don't expect our catering staff and all to be just in a galley. Then people come out to see kya ho raha hai, kya ho raha hai. It happens on ships. Huh? Nothing. If you have got supernumeraries, means somebody's wife, kids, and they also come to see kya ho raha hai karke. Now, if you are going to work near the ship's whistle, because one whistle is on the main mast or nearby, it may be on the funnel, whatever. But if you are going to work near ship's whistle, you report it to bridge first because it will be covered under the work permit that vessel is switched off and warning notices are put. It is isolated means it's switched off. There is no way you can use it. Now there are two types of vessels. One has got electric motor and there is air pump, and then it works. Other ones have got a solenoid control and the air is supplied from the ship's compressor. In that case, you have to make sure the valve is closed, the notice is put on that, do not open, men working, etc. Plus machinery space people must be informed, bridge people must be informed. So accidentally, nobody should use the whistle. If the whistle blows and you are very close to it, you may lose your eardrums. That much loud is the volume. Now, same thing if you are going to work on a funnel. The usual procedure goes, duty engineer is informed. He will take steps to make sure there is no emission of steam or any gases, fumes, etc. Means he is also doing his part to ensure that isolate certain things so that no harm should come to you. Now, similarly, on bridge, you will find on top of Monkey Island, a lot of radio aerials are there, antennas and all. Now, some of them are passive, means they receive only. Some of them are transmitter antennas. Transmitter antennas means there is power transmission. That means there is a possibility of electrocution. So, if you are going to work close by to this, what you do? First, you inform. If you have got a radio room, normally ships have got GMDSS console. So, what you will be doing is you will be telling duty officer, he will be ensuring that the equipment is switched off or put it in such a position that it cannot transmit. No transmissions will be made till the time you are clear. Warning notices comes automatically. The switchboards means it is not just one simple warning notice. You put it in more places to ensure that even accidentally nobody should switch on. Because that is where things go wrong. It becomes like charity. What left hand is doing, right hand doesn't know, and then you are asking for trouble. That is what happens. Similarly, if you have to work near radar scanner, now it's not necessarily you're working on radar scanner, nearby. It can be anything else. Again, you ensure that duty officer knows it. The radars are switched off, scanners are isolated, warning notices are put. The circuit breakers are switched off. Here, when we talk about switching off power, we are not talking the switch on the appliance. We are talking about the circuit breakers, because these things can go wrong. Once I would have been on receiving side when I was a cadet. There was some problem, I don't remember it, but I was told by a duty officer to go up on the scanner, somewhere on the radar mast, along with AB. So AB and I, we climbed up because something was stuck, I think flag rope, something was there. And he was also standing outside and looking at us, means he was supervising us. And mistake was, no warning notice was put on radar equipment. And captain came on bridge. He didn't see anything. He went straight to radar. And he was about to switch on radar. And then he realized something is not right. So, that sixth sense, whatever it is. So, he came out to bridge wing for the second officer there. And he found us, we were on that radar mast. Now, accident would have happened. But it was just good luck. But that is the reason we have learned from these mistakes. And what we are doing now is ensure that it should not get repeated in future. So warning notices are very important. And when you finish the work, okay, the work will not last forever. It will be maybe half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, because we work only on emergency basis stuff. We don't go for usual routine work there. So work will get over. Moment it is over, the responsible person will inform appropriate person that yes sir, our work is over. Now our work is over and now we can go back to routine thing. Everybody is clear, and then the responsible person and the appropriate person to whom he has informed, he will also come out and see that okay, all clear, he doesn't have any doubt, nobody makes mistakes, and then you people get off, and then the ship goes back to usual practice. Now, sometimes what happens is in port, you have got hatch covers open or cargo is worked with the ship's cranes. In that case, we generally don't work aloft in nearby areas so that accidentally the cargo crane or cargo work should not hurt a person who is doing some other work. So we avoid this part. If we have to do some work there, we don't allow cargo work in nearby vicinity. Then usually in ports and all and even other ways, we put suitable barriers and warning notices and all are done. But normally what happens on a typical cargo ships, you have a small number of people. Everybody is a professional. So it is not, you can say, that priority at times, because everybody knows and a simple barrier is good enough. Everybody knows that not to go there because something can fall from top. Whereas on passenger ships, if you are going to do any work, you have to follow this barrier part and all very, very carefully, because there will be bystanders, there will be curious people who will like to come there. Now, whatever tools you are going to use, or you are going to use a lubricant or a paint or whatever it is, which is you are going to use at aloft, means at certain height, and you are already there. How do you get it there? You can't carry it on your shoulder and climb up. So once you go there, you pass a heaving line down, somebody ties it up, then it is picked up. Now, preferably, this whole job of picking up everything is done by another independent person, not people sitting on the stage. Somebody else does it and arranges in such a way that people sitting on the stage get it in front of them. Now, tools. We make sure every tool has got some line so that it can be tied up, so that accidentally it will not slip off from the hand and fall down. Because if it falls down, see, ship is not exactly a smooth place. It falls down from my hand, bounces off, recoils, and goes and hits somebody. So this is one of the dangers. So tools must be secured by lanyard. Lanyard is a sort of a thinner rope than heaving line. That's why we don't like anybody standing underneath either. Nobody should be standing underneath. Everybody keeps safe and watches. That is more important. Another important thing is you never carry any tools in pockets. Like, just slip something in the pocket because you want a plier there. So you put it in pocket and go up. No. What we generally do, yes, there are something called tool belts, which normally ETUs and all have it. So that is secured type. It is not in the pocket. It is the belt he wears where all the tools are properly secured and they are not going to fall off. That is possible. Other one, the tools are sent up afterwards by a messenger rope. Now, what happens is when you work on heights and all, sometimes there is a possibility that work might be involving lubricants, greasy things and all, or at times hands become slippery. So you should be more careful. In that something is not, you are not comfortable with a tool, send it back down. They will exchange it with something else. A standard question here is, what precautions must be observed while working at height? You should be able to list. least 10 points at least. Okay. Now read always these questions carefully. Now we'll do this portable ladders. I know it is still little bit time, but just let's go through portable ladder. Working from portable ladder should be avoided, okay, as much as possible. If you have to stand on portable ladder and do something, then safety harness lifeline is required above the work position where practicable, because in case you fall, something should hang your weight. Now, ladders are to be used to climb up to the place where you are going to work. You don't stand on the ladder and work, because ladder is not a stable platform. Again, before use, ladder must be checked, and again by a regularly competent person will check it. That is a routine, like ladder is okay, like weekly routine or something. But before use also, you must check the ladder. Normally, you don't see wooden ladders on the ships, but in case you have got wooden ladder, they are never ever painted. Any wood that is involved with ladders, whether it's a pilot ladder, steps, anything, it is never ever painted, because if you paint, you don't see the cracks, and if there are cracks, something might break when in use, and there can be big catastrophic problem. They are always stored safely in a dry ventilated space away from heat source. That is normal. Now, if you use a ladder like aluminum ladder, portable ladder, 75 degrees angle on a firm base, then secured against slipping. Okay, means it has to be tied. No sideways, no upward shift movement. Okay, so no fore and aft, no sideways, tied up. Now this part afford a clearance of 150 millimeters behind the rung. This is because what happens is, if the step is here and my foot is here, this is my foot, it will slip. So my foot must go further. Okay, this is the step, these two fingers, and this is the foot. So this distance has to be at least 150 millimeters, so that you can put your foot properly, not the edge anywhere. Otherwise the foot will be on edge and you are likely to slip. Then this part says, ladder must extend at least 1 meter above upper landing place. That means not just this is the landing place and ladder reaches here. No, ladder should be like this, so that you can climb up properly, hold on two sides, and then step on this platform. Then, if you're going to use double ladders, there has to be sufficient overlap. That means two ladders are tied with couple of steps become common. Few steps will be common. When you use ladder, you must use both hands. You cannot carry something in one hand and hold on with one hand. Your both hands must be free. Anything else, you reach on top and then send the rope down and then you pick up. But you cannot be doing both the things together, holding something in the hand and climbing up at the same time. Now this 3-point contact our lab must have shown you, both feet and handhold should be maintained all the time. Means both the feet should be on ladder except when you are taking a step, and hands. So you will have at least both the hands holding the ladder. At any given time, one foot is in contact or both the feet are in contact. Now, this part of plank should not be supported on the rungs. That means you don't use a ladder as some sort of a thing, as a shelf where you put the plank in the middle. Because ladder steps may not be able to take the weight and it can break and fall down. Again, ladder is never used horizontally to keep anything on top of it. The only ladder that is used horizontally is the visit to crematorium. Otherwise, ladder is always vertical. So you cannot convert ladder into stage. Okay? So go through this and let me know what you don't understand. So now, any doubts, you put it on chat. I am watching the chat now.
Sure.